Let's get right into it. Number 6. Stop arguing with your brain. Overthinking is basically your brain starting a debate club meeting at 2 a.m. with no moderator. And guess what? You never win, because your brain is the one making the rules. Intrusive thoughts don't leave because you prove them wrong. They leave because you stop giving them free stage time. When you argue with a thought like, "What if I'm a bad person?" your brain goes, "Interesting. Let's explore this for 6 more hours." When you try to reassure yourself endlessly, you accidentally teach your brain that the thought is dangerous and needs solving. That's the trap. The more you wrestle with it, the more important it feels. A better approach is acceptance without engagement, not acceptance like, "Yes, this is true," more like, "Okay, brain, weird suggestion, noted." Then you move on. It's like if someone walked up to you and said, "What if pigeons are government spies?" You wouldn't start researching bird surveillance. You'd just blink and continue eating your sandwich. Your intrusive thoughts deserve the same energy. Psychologically, this is how you break the obsession loop. Thoughts become sticky when you treat them like emergencies. When you treat them like background noise, your brain eventually gets bored. Basically, your mind is screaming, "Pay attention," and you're calmly replying, "No thanks, I have laundry." Number 5. Write it down and make it look stupid. Your intrusive thoughts sound very serious and important when they're bouncing around in your head. They've got this whole dramatic presentation with mood lighting and ominous background music. But the second you write them down on paper, they lose about 90% of their power because you can actually see how ridiculous they are. It's like watching a horror movie with the lights on, it's just not that scary anymore. Grab a notebook and write out the intrusive thought exactly as it appears in your head. Don't censor it, don't make it sound reasonable, write it in all its melodramatic glory. "I'm going to fail at everything and die alone surrounded by judgmental cats." Now read it back, out loud if you're feeling brave. Suddenly it sounds less like a premonition and more like a bad movie tagline. Psychologists call this externalization, and it works because it takes the thought out of your internal echo chamber and puts it somewhere you can examine it objectively. When it's just in your head, it feels like the truth. When it's on paper, it looks like what it actually is, your brain being dramatic for no reason. You can take this a step further and actually make fun of the thought. Rewrite it in a silly voice. Draw a dumb cartoon next to it. Turn it into a haiku. The point is to strip it of its emotional weight and remind yourself that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not facts, they're not predictions. They're just your brain's weird way of processing anxiety. Some people even crumple up the paper and throw it away afterward, which is honestly just satisfying on a primal level. You're literally throwing your intrusive thoughts in the trash where they belong. Your brain might protest at first, but deep down it knows you're right. Number 4. Use your senses like a remote control. Overthinking lives in your head. Obviously, that's its whole thing. It's like your brain built a little theater and keeps playing the same dramatic movie called "What If Everything Goes Wrong Forever?" So, one of the fastest ways to interrupt it is to drag yourself back into the physical world. Not with deep philosophical insight, with your senses. Look around and name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. It sounds simple because it is simple, but your brain hates it because it can't overthink properly while you're noticing the texture of your shirt and the sound of a fan humming like it's judging you. This is grounding. It works because intrusive thoughts pull you into the imaginary future or the embarrassing past. Your senses force you into the present, where, most of the time, nothing is actually on fire. Your nervous system calms down when it realizes, "Oh, we're just sitting in a room, not being chased by lions. Cool." Overthinking is basically your brain running simulations like a broken video game. Grounding is you grabbing the controller and going, "We are here, right now. The chair is real. The catastrophe is not." Basically, you're reminding your brain that reality exists outside its anxiety fanfiction. Number 3. Distract yourself with something genuinely hard. There's a difference between distraction and distraction. Scrolling through your phone while your brain screams at you, that's not distraction. That's just giving your overthinking brain a side project. Real distraction requires your brain to actually work like work. We're talking puzzles, complex games, learning a new skill, or doing something that demands your full cognitive attention. The key is to make your brain so busy that it literally doesn't have the bandwidth to run its intrusive thought marathon. This works because your brain has limited processing power. It's not a supercomputer, it's more like a laptop from 2012 with 47 tabs open. When you force it to focus on something genuinely challenging, like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, learning a few phrases in a new language, or even doing mental math, it has to allocate resources away from the intrusive thoughts. It's like telling your brain, sorry, we're using all available RAM for this right now. The overthinking department is temporarily offline. Studies show that engaging in tasks that require active problem solving can significantly reduce rumination because your brain is too occupied to spiral. The trick is picking something that's hard enough to demand focus, but not so hard that it frustrates you into quitting. Video games with puzzles, Sudoku, coding challenges, even cooking a complicated recipe, anything that makes your brain go, wait, how does this work? Instead of, let's replay that conversation from 3 years ago. Your intrusive thoughts are like needy toddlers, they thrive on attention. But when you ignore them to focus on something actually interesting, they eventually wander off to bother someone else, preferably not you, preferably never again. Number 2, set a worry appointment. Yes, this sounds ridiculous, like you're scheduling a business meeting with your anxiety, but honestly, that's kind of the point. Overthinking feels endless because your brain thinks worry is an all-day open buffet. Any moment of silence, boom, thoughts rush in like toddlers with espresso. So you do something deeply petty and powerful. You tell your brain, not now, later. Pick a specific time, like 6:30 p.m. for 15 minutes. That's your official overthinking office hours. When intrusive thoughts show up at random, you go, cool story, bring it to the meeting. At first, your brain will protest. It'll be like, no, this is urgent, we must spiral immediately. But you stay firm, put it on the calendar. Psychologically, this works because it trains your mind to stop treating every thought as an emergency. It creates separation between you and the mental chaos. Worry becomes contained instead of leaking into everything. And here's the funny part, when worry time actually arrives, half the thoughts won't even feel important anymore. They'll show up like, I forgot why I was panicking. Because intrusive thoughts thrive on immediacy, they want you cornered right now. Scheduling them turns them into paperwork. Basically, you're telling your brain, yes, I hear you, but you need an appointment like everyone else. Number 1, talk to yourself like a friend. Overthinking has a very specific vibe. It's your brain bullying you in your own voice. It says things like, why would you do that? What if you mess everything up? Normal people don't think this way. And the worst part is, you believe it, because it sounds like you. So here's a wild idea. Respond the way you'd respond to a friend. If your friend said, I keep having scary thoughts, you wouldn't go, wow, you're doomed, let's panic forever. You'd say, that sounds stressful, thoughts don't define you, you're okay. That's self-compassion, and it's not cheesy, it's psychological survival. Studies show people who treat themselves with kindness have less anxiety and less obsessive thinking because they stop adding shame on top of fear. Intrusive thoughts already feel bad. Overthinking makes them worse by going, and also you're a terrible person for having them. No, you're a human with a brain that produces random mental junk. Basically, stop being your own internet comment section, be your own supportive roommate. Your mind doesn't need more punishment, it needs reassurance that it can calm down without a trial. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.